Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm very, very pleased with what's happening there. I'm just going to go ahead and turn on the scene
And
switcher here.
I don't know if I told you, but I think it was back in 2022 when I moved my gold and silver from my RSPs.
Yep.
And so that was originally about $60,000, and then last time I checked on it, it's at $120,000. So it's like doubled.
Ka-ching.
Yeah.
Don't
And it's
sell
funny,
yet.
hey? So some people are like, "So are you sure that's a good idea?" And I'm like,
Yeah.
"Are you stupid?"
Best idea yet.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
exactly.
Oh yeah. And it's funny we were actually just talking about this was back, mid January. Silver prices button up against that all-time high. After this, this rise here at second top, then it pushed above that. It was in this area that all the big companies were like, "Oh, it's going to go down now."
Yeah,
And so they positioned themselves to take back profit back into this area again. So they shorted here, thinking it's going to go down.
yeah,
But then, of course, it went up against them, and they ended up getting bailed out by something stupid like $10 million a day or something like that.
jeez.
And that just extended. But of course, what happened was that the because of the great prices, Comex, the banks, so they just said, okay, fine, we're going to sell our futures, so all the paper contracts. So they
Yeah,
flooded the market with sell orders, getting everybody to panic. And look at that, it came right back. Oh, to the same zone that they would have marked as profit during this whole
yeah,
time. So they're just making money hand over fist because now they've made money here from all of that money that was borrowed, right? So they made the money. They dollar cost averaged the opposite direction is all they did. So they made their money back, but now of course this is more manipulation in the market. So what does that do? That just builds up that energy for the next shot up. Right now, basically all of the main suppliers, international suppliers, they're done. They don't have any, they can't buy anymore. They literally can't buy anymore. Tech companies aren't even caring about the price because if they don't buy the silver, they go out of business for how much demand there is to make chips. So they don't care what the price is doing. Because they're thinking this is costing, like, it's our business if we don't buy it.
yeah.
So electronics prices, electronic prices are going to go up a lot.
Well, and Samsung's got those new batteries that are going to be coming to market. And that's going to be using a whole whack-a-mole of silver too. So I mean, that's both exciting and going to be great new technology that's going to hit the market. So
And really, really, honestly, terrible for the dollar, but really good
mhm.
for anybody. It's got some silver.
Yeah,
Yeah. I don't know. I saw something on, I don't know, how AI is nowadays. I've never seen this before, but it wouldn't surprise me because um I have made GANs, which is it's like it's a byproduct of using electrolysis on zinc, and the stuff that bubbles off of that is actually it's a chemical that can be used in conducting electricity. And the I saw a video where a guy was actually making GANs, but it was turning out to be silver, and they looked like leaves on the water. So I don't know if that's something that can be done, but it wouldn't surprise me. It seems a little strange. I would think that silver is an ore that needs to be brought out of the ground and isn't really generated or grown. But you know what? Wouldn't surprise me. And with the way silver prices are going, you can bet your boots that if it can be done, a lot of people are going to be doing it.
yeah. So Ian still says that it's cycling for him, like that it's not loading properly.
Man, you know what's crazy is that before when you guys said that it wasn't working, I went ahead and closed the room down and opened it back up again so it'd be fresh. I'm
Hmm.
thinking it's something with his computer. Yeah, no, no, no. Well, anyway, uh, hopefully he can make it. I mean, it's working for everybody else. Let me just see if I'm going to see if he can get into the consulting room and if
Okay.
he can there.
If not, I've got that market analysis room that I made you an admin of, right on Meetin.
Yeah, yeah, but I thought Ian wasn't able to connect to that either.
Huh.
Oh no, that was the Get Brunch one.
Yeah.
Well, I'll see if he can get into the consulting room. If he can get into the consulting room, then there might be something wrong with the mastermind room.
Okay. If not, let me know. I've got the link for the meeting room ready. So if you want, if that doesn't work, then we can pop everybody on over there.
Okay, yeah.
I love alternatives, man. That's why we do this.
Yep.
Things all good in your neck of the woods otherwise?
Yeah, absolutely. Apparently, Epstein's still alive. Do you know that?
Yeah. I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah. You know,
That's
it's just
true.
the whole world is just a big scam. Like,
Oh, it is.
yeah, just a big scam. Well, I hope that it's going to work out. I'm not seeing him show up in the other room either. Maybe he's resetting his computer. Yeah, a glitch somewhere, somehow. I'll see you tomorrow, hopefully. Okay. Well, anyway, let's go back to it. Yeah, so if you're in the silver, you're going to have some fun here over the next little while. In fact, now that we have this big retracement, we can actually use the Fibonacci to get us an idea of what the next levels of resistance might be. So I'm going to go ahead and grab this tool and I'm going to extend it from the low, previous low, to that most recent high. And we just scroll it across. We can see that that retracement was beautiful, came down to the 38.2 level, which is significant. Usually we see retracement, it'll only go to about 61.8. Oh, and over. Oh, you came to the consulting room. That link was just for Ian to test. Audrey Lynn, if you could go to the mastermind room. So with that retracement coming back from that 120.9, coming back, finding a settle, it seems to find a settling place. Let's just zoom in on the 4-hour chart here. Seem to be settling in at that, yep, at that 74.29 level. The next extension will likely bring us up to 167. So the next impulse that we get will likely find some resistance at 167 per ounce. That's 167 US. So between now where we are right now and that next point of resistance that we're likely to see is an astounding 125% again. Incredible. You know, for those who have been paying attention, let's go to that daily chart. From the COVID drop, Well, you know what? I won't call the COVID drop because I don't know anybody that actually bought during the drop. I only knew people that were buying in those months leading up to. Right now, they are up 345%. They were up 574%. The next pulse where we find resistance will likely be up 844%. Makes me feel good when I can help people like that. I don't always hit the mark, but when I do, I like to gloat. Okay, going on to gold. You can see gold also experienced the same thing. It's because what they're doing is that they're selling those futures. Basically, imagine there are two auctions for the same item. And there's one at 12 o'clock and there's one at 1 o'clock. What'll happen is that people will buy, they will go ahead and buy that first one, and then they'll go in and undercut themselves, and they'll use the spread between the two back and forth, and that is called arbitrage. Arbitrage is in most jurisdictions illegal, but that's basically what they're doing. They're saying, oh, hey, let's go ahead and sell that item, but we're going to have our left hand buy it. Right hand is going to sell it. Our left hand's going to buy it on the downside. Call that arbitrage.
Wild, eh? Different set of rules for them.
Yep. Bitcoin also dipping down. I have a suspicion that we're actually seeing a little bit of fear come into play here. Remember, this week, Trump said that he had to, take an armada larger than the one he took to Venezuela over to Iran. So that's expensive. And what happens when people feel that there's war coming, they may very well go ahead and sell whatever assets they're holding. And usually because those investors recognize that there's an opportunity and that they're losing out on that opportunity to invest in the war machine. And sure enough, speaking of the war machine, look at how we have now been still maintaining those all-time highs. So the war machine got a bunch of money because everything else dropped during that time. Cryptos dropped. Ethereum made another big plummet. In fact, from where we did market analysis last to now is down 26%. Bitcoin, from where we last had market analysis, so on Friday, not even, that was Thursday because Thursday was there we go. Friday actually held on for a while, but even Bitcoin dropped 12% just over the weekend. Again, it's because people have assets like this and they have large amounts. They're moving money. They're like, oh, I'm gonna move over here. Why? Because it looks like the war machine's going to war, and that's a good time to buy. So, in light of that, it's time that we update our gold price here on this one. We also have a silver price to track here as well. So right now we take this here, calculator, and we are going 49,333 divided by gold, which dropped 46.31. So now we're up to 10.65 ounces. And then on the silver side of things, we got the same 49,333. Oops. 49,333 divided by silver prices 76 today, 76.87. So that's a huge jump. Good old manipulation. 641.77. A lot of ounces. A lot more. So that's a big shift that we saw here. This is we're not going to see the reflection of that inside these charts at all. So that's why we're doing these updates so that we can keep track of just how much cheaper the economy is getting. Still, even with that drop, we didn't even come close to the price that it was back in April during this crash. That April low, 12.3 ounces, still, even with losing an ounce, we are still on track. On track to take over the markets. Going on to Bitcoin dominance, we can see still consolidating within this rising wedge as much as there is the volatility. Bitcoin is still not gaining more dominance than that 60% line. Gold and Bitcoin fluctuating a little bit over the last week, especially with with how the gold prices were going up. With gold and Bitcoin both dropping, we've actually seen a consolidation between the two assets. Ethereum versus Bitcoin, another big drop over this last weekend. So it's getting cheaper and cheaper. Back to Monero, we're watching this chart after that big nice rise there. We've seen patterns like this in the past where Monero actually leads the pack in the first wave of alt season. At the same time, this long-term trend line here, we've seen this, that was formed. Let's see, it was even formed before that. Yeah, basically this trend here started back in April of 2024, creating new lows that are creating higher lows that whole time. So it's interesting that we have dipped down underneath this long-term trend line, but at the same time, you can see where that trend line actually is. Essentially. Yep. It's tricky because of this is a logarithmic chart, so there's a little bit of a straying here, but you can see that line. It's pretty strong. So we'll see where Monero goes next. It might be a leading indicator as to what's happening, what's coming up next. On the 2-hour chart, we're zooming in on midnight. It has gone down even more, dropping below that strong support line, another 15%, down to 4.7 cents US. Looking forward to seeing this come back up. I bought a lot going down this trend line here, switching ADA out for midnight. Even now, the way that the drop has occurred, ADA dropped 20%. So going over tonight, moving my ADA over tonight, about half of it, I saved myself some of that drop. Now would actually be a good time for me to buy some more ADA with my night. Nope, I missed that opportunity. With that drop, it's dropped now equalized about the same value as the drop that midnight had. Japanese markets, very briefly, also button up against all-time highs. This is going to be a continuing pattern as we see inflation take over. Yeah, the big talk of the town today is, of course, silver, with all of the manipulation happening. Most people still are not aware that this is what's happening, but we can see it occur plain as day. Hey, let's go flood the market with some fake silver so that we can drop the prices and nab up all the physical stuff. That's exactly what's going on. They're selling the pretend stuff for high prices only to turn around and buy the real stuff cheap. Doesn't make sense for them to buy physical silver when it's expensive at over $100 an ounce. No, no, no. If they have the opportunity to get it at below $100 an ounce, they'll do it. And sure enough,
So is it still low? Sorry, came in
silver,
late.
yeah, no worries. Silver definitely is low right now, dropping from the all-time high there. It dropped 39% in a matter of a day and a half. So right now sitting at $78 US, which translates into $107 Canadian. In fact, it did go down below. The low was $97. So it dipped underneath that $100 mark. Looks like we're equalizing here. Remember, whenever there's volatility, there's a little bit of time usually where we see that basketball bounce and find some consolidation. So we'll likely see the ATR drop a little bit on the daily chart. Now it's too late to sell. The sale there, that was just a beautiful rise up there, and that extra volatility could have been a good indicator to sell that volatility meter there. It's beautiful how that just spikes up like that. Good time to get out of the markets because likely that volatility is going to have a reaction, a correction. So that correction has started, but the ATR is still nice and high. So we can see that it's never been this high. In fact, let's go back to the US. I think I marked this. Yeah, this here. That's the previous highest volatility that silver has ever had. The volatility is measuring how many dollars per day does it fluctuate. That was the highest it ever was, $4.9 in one day. Now that ATR is screaming at 10. So double the volatility right out of the gate. And that'll be the talk of the town for the next little while. Until, of course, the war is actually official, with Trump sending over that armada to Iran. I think we're going to see some fluctuations in the market for sure. I would imagine that we'll see a dip because there needs to be a crisis. There needs to be a reason. I'm just going to go and check. Audrey Lynn, I see you, but you're over in the consulting room. If you just scroll up a little bit, you'll see the mastermind room. Yeah, that's all I got right now, folks. I mean, it's a busy time. There's no point in trying to keep up with all of this. It's just recognizing, okay, this is what they're doing. This is the game. They know, they know just as much as I do. It's not like these bankers are stupid. They just have the public display drama that occurs in order to maintain the charade, right? They can't afford to have us thinking that they know what's going on. So they got to make it look, plausible deniability. Look how much money we lost. Yeah, but it was the left hand that lost. The right hand gained. And when you realize that, then it becomes very easy. Like, look at how amazing this retracement came back and just naturally found those old-time highs before we did that push towards 100. Look at how beautiful that just retraced right back so that those guys, remember, that was for those of you joining in. Just last week, January 20th, so 10, 12 days ago, January 20th was when the big players, JP Morgan's, and that they were shorting silver. Well, that didn't work. They thought it was going to come back down and visit these old levels here. So they put a position in, leveraged it, something like 25 to 1, and they had to be bailed out daily because of how much money they were bleeding out of that trade. So when they did finally get what their wish was, yeah, it came right back. But in order to do that, it's important to note that they created this flood. They sold the futures on the market. They sold them at a rapid rate. So rapid that the price dropped like 30%, 36% in a matter of 3 days. 40% if you take the outer edges. From the all-time high to the low, 41.34%. Wild. So if you bought, you're probably kicking yourself. I do know someone who did buy, and they're down 30% right now. They're kicking themselves. They're not kicking themselves for buying, they know not to sell. They're not kicking themselves that hard. But they obviously could have waited just a week and got it at a better price, got the silver on sale, probably 20% off. And if they would have listened to me, back when I was talking about it to them like 2023, they'd be in even a better spot. So they were definitely disappointed in themselves. But you know what? That's the nature of things. Where did I talk to them? Yeah, it was like 22, 23. So now you know, right now they'd be up 230%. Again, I like to gloat when I'm right this right. Just when I'm this right. Questions, comments? Earlier, we did a plot to see how far we're going to head next. It's probably going to be finding some resistance around $160. So we'll be rising from where we are right now. We'll find some resistance. Yep. Yeah, in this, it'll probably double, and then we'll see some more resistance. Right now, the manufacturers, people who need silver as a raw material, they are not caring about the price. In fact, they're eating up as much as they possibly can right now, knowing that this is how they stay in business.
Paul, do you see silver and gold being on par at some point?
Well, that's why we like this chart here. We can see there was some major volatility. This is the gold silver ratio. So yeah, I do see them finally equalizing to where they ought to be by nature. And but it's going to be a while because they still have the ability to manipulate those markets. So with this big rise here, like you take a look at how much silver went down compared to gold, it's 40%. So now instead of being 43 ounces to buy an ounce of gold, now it's 59. But this will continue to drop. And I think that, what I marked here is probably fairly accurate, where I think we're going to see it bounce around. Oh, Audrey's back. I think we're probably going to see this ratio finally find some equalization between 10 and 15 ounces.
What happened with gold? I was unable to get in and had to reset my computer and craziness.
Oh, yeah, no problem. So gold did a very similar move as silver. Silver just simply had more volatility. Gold dropped as well, but not nearly as much. Oh, there's some noise there. There we go. So that drop was only about 19% from the high to the bottom. Silver lost 40%. Gold only lost about half as much. But it did the same movement. It went from the all-time high and retraced back to find those previous highs. Silver, same thing. We had those previous highs in December, and that price action brought us back down. We are going to see silver be more volatile than gold, simply because of how manipulated it is, but then B, how much correction is necessary.
Correction as in to bring it more in line with gold, or correction as the price is inappropriate?
Good distinction. The correction to the gold ratio. Yeah. Finding that equalization point, between that 10 and 15. That's going to be when we know things are now settled out. Okay, now things are normal again. But I mean, who knows when this is going to happen? I think we're going to see this drop be fairly controlled. Remember, the powers that be, they know what's happening. They know way more than I do. And that they know that this is where everybody's going to think that everything is okay again. And so what they're doing right now is they're simply kicking the can down the line is basically what's happening. See, when metals rise up, when metals increase in value, there is typically a reversal in the markets because the metal is providing more of a return than the markets. And when that happens, it looks poorly upon the currencies. And of course, they don't want people having metal. They want people to be reliant on the currency. So they got to make it look good. That's why they started the futures market on precious metals, so that they could control how much metal was in the markets. They could manipulate it. So yeah, this is it's very rare to see such a rise in the value of the markets and a rise in the value of gold. And when that occurs, it's because it's not natural. Not natural. People do not simultaneously gravitate towards precious metals and fiat currency. They're dichotomically opposed, if that's even a word. I just made that up right now.
So then, this, as you have already said, this indicates that the market is the metals are being manipulated, to make it appear as though the fiat currency is still a stable place to be. Am I hearing you correctly?
That's right. That's right.
So then it's a matter of hold your breath and ride the wave.
Hold your breath, ride the wave, and recognize that the manipulation is a part of that entire world. And we're going to be waiting for it to calm down at this point. And that, again, we have to remember this year is way more indicative of the value of the market. The US economy cannot hold a candle to gold and silver. Because while the US economy is saying, look at, I'm going to say this till I'm blue in the face, US economy reports from April a recovery of 34%. But against metal, it's gone down over 20%. So they're lying in the opposite direction. It'd be one thing if they said, oh, our markets lost 20%. No. They're not even saying our markets are breaking even. They're lying in the opposite direction, saying, look at how much it's going up. And again, most people don't look at the markets this way. And so the narrative that gets talked about doesn't take into effect where we are and where we're headed. This is the digital onboarding. Everybody's getting a machine and it's going to duplicate themselves. It's going to copy them. It's going to be their persona in the digital space. We've already seen influencers who have followers, millions of followers, and they are absolutely thrilled with the fact that now they don't have to have their real self depicted online. Why? Because content creation is actually very time consuming. And since social media platforms are actually pushing LLM generated content, meaning that if you don't have LLM generated content on your social media, you will likely be docked exposure. You are not going to be promoted. If it's LLM generated, they will promote you more because they're incentivizing it. So we have these influencers with millions of followers. You know, most people don't realize it that you get about $7 every 1,000 views on YouTube. If you are a partnered account with them and you're an influencer, you've got a verified account and all that stuff. 1 million views, that's $70. Oh, 7,000. Sorry, $7,000 for 1 million views. Yeah, many of the people have 1 million subscribers. They are so happy now because they can get an LLM to take on their likeness and they can have the computer create their content instead of them having to set up a camera, make sure the lights are all good, pay the guy to run the camera. You have to pay the guy to edit the video. You have to pay all kinds of, you have to pay licensing for music. A lot of these influencers are just outsourcing someone else saying, hey, I don't even want to know how to do the AI stuff. I just want to look beautiful. So you take care of the AI stuff and I'll just do my job. And now their costs are going down tremendously. Because now they can, instead of paying, like some of these influencers, they're paying $30,000, $40,000 a month on a production team. Now it can be about $200 a month. The same production team. This is why I think that we're going to see a huge shift in the workforce in tech, where there's going to be people who absolutely are going to be hired to review the work, especially in code. But what we're going to see, I think, is an emergence of a new industry of people who are simply prompt engineers. Those influencers couldn't care less about how to prompt AI. That guy that they're hiring knows how to prompt AI, and he's getting paid big bucks now because he can leverage his time now. So yeah, this shift is tremendous. The amount of reliance that people are going to have on AI is going to be sickening. We thought it was bad with the internet and then the phone. People are going to be reliant on this. I am. I fully admit it. I can't do what I'm doing. I have been in the industry of web design, marketing since 2013. And I have yet to meet someone who has the abilities to create a platform online that allows me to do this and teach things. I have yet to meet someone who has those abilities that has an aligned view to me. I've been waiting for years to have somebody be able to do what I think of doing, to be able to accomplish what it is that I'm dreaming. I don't have the fortitude or strength to go in and delve into one particular skill called coding. I'm more than happy to have a machine push the buttons in the right order, in the right formulations to do that for me. I've always wanted to work with someone who knows how to do that. Now I can. It's not a someone, but it's a machine.
But isn't that a more wise use of our time to allow
Yeah.
the algorithm, the inanimate thing, to do that which is the repetitive task for us, that which is depleting? I mean,
Yep.
I'm finding working with this silly Proton Excel sheet to be a nightmare. This is disgusting. It's awful. It's not working at all. And I would much prefer to give it to an LLM to deal with.
You might try out Protons. Proton has an LLM for that kind of stuff now, apparently.
Well, I kind of effed things up this morning, resetting my computer. I lost all the work that we did with Beaker.
Proton saves things all the time.
Yep.
Oh, wait a second. No, there's got to be session history. There's got to be some conversation history.
I can't see
it. We'll find it.
Anyway.
We'll find it.
Nevertheless, I am a proponent of using the device to make my life easier.
That's what it's there for. Absolutely. It's just a machine, no different than any other machine we've ever created. It lightens our life. The dishwasher is a machine, and it leverages your time. Like, this is just what we do. We invent things that leverage time. And now we're just reaching a singularity when it comes to digital stuff. That's all. I really think there is going to be two worlds. There's going to be a fake world and a real world. And in the real world, we'll be utilizing the same tools that the fake world relies on to exist. Fascinating. Any other questions? Oh, one thing that I was going to say that I was noticing, I marked it on the chart here as well. Can see these old highs here from March 2024. Shortly after they started, this green arrow marks when they started selling ETFs. So that rise up there brought us to this support, this level here. I don't think that was all-time high. Maybe it was. Oh yeah, it was. Look at that. Man, it feels like it was higher than that before. March 2024 was the all-time high. Look at us coming right back down to settle on top of that old support. A, in fact, is now our market structure. A is now our market structure. Whoops. Is it? No. C, this is still above, but barely. Look at that. The difference. The low here was 74.48. 74.55. Ha! So very, very narrow retest. Yep. Look at that. 0.37%, within 0.37% of the previous low at A. What happens at this point? Well, I did say back in November, right after the election took off, and the fact that we jumped up as high as we did that day, and then it only took a week for it to rise up. How much was this? 30%. I said, we'll never see pre-election prices again. Well, I'm going to cross my fingers on that one. Don't know. Market shows that structure is at A. C is that deep. If we're going up, it's gonna be a wild ride from here. If we're going down, where would we end up? Probably coming down to like 65,000, where we found that resistance. It's gonna be tricky. If it drops down, I think it'll be again just a scare, right? Like a crisis of some sort. At the same time, we might just be seeing, the onset of war is kind of like that we need some funding. And so then they go to war, get the funding they need from all of the big guys, big players, which then allows them to heavily invest in cryptos. I mean, the fact that today Binance went ahead and bought up I can't remember. It was like billions of Bitcoin dollars worth. Billions of dollars worth of Bitcoin they bought within the last 24 hours because it went down. So they don't buy because it's going down. They buy because they dollar cost average, knowing that it's going up. There was other news about MicroStrategy. Yeah, what was that? MicroStrategy did something huge too. Let me go look it up. Okay, where did it go? There we go. Yeah. Crypto funds lost $1.7 billion for the second week straight. MicroStrategy bought 855 more Bitcoin at the same time. 855 more Bitcoin. That's a lot. Where's my calculator here? Let's say they bought at 80,000 because that's where we last passed. We're now sitting at 78. 855 times 80,000. $68 million worth. And Binance bought this dip. Yep. And they've committed, this is interesting, Binance moved 1,300 Bitcoin worth about $100 million from its hot wallet to the SAFU. I don't know what that is, what fund that is. This is the first piece of the exchange's plan to convert the entire $1 billion emergency funds from stablecoins to Bitcoin. The 30-day buying plan will create roughly 33 million in daily Bitcoin demand as Binance buys the dip. So if they are buying $1 billion worth over the next 30 days, 33 million in 1 month. The exchange announced that the conversion on January 30th, they announced their conversion on January 30th and said that the fund will stay above 800 million. This is Binance's first Bitcoin buy since 2023. When was, 2023, eh? Oh, look at that. Before they started issuing. Amazing. A whale lost $250 million. His position, he got liquidated on his entire Ethereum position for $250 million, leaving $53 in his hyperliquid account, according to Arkham. The trader had built up a leveraged long worth over $730 million by mid-January. His total exposure across Ethereum, Solana, and Bitcoin topped 900 million before Ethereum's drop this week forced him out. Aww. The loss flips the script for the hyperunit whale, who made about 200 million in October by shorting Bitcoin and Ethereum minutes before Trump announced 100% tariffs on China. The Look-On chain pointed out that all 8 top hyperliquid traders who made big profits eventually lost everything. The whale still has 2.5 billion in other wallets, according to Arkham data. Yeah. And so the plot thickens. Well, there you have it. Market analysis for today. Any questions? No? Awesome. Have a good rest of the day, everyone. We'll see you tomorrow.